Let me tell you a story that sounds fake, exaggerated, and morally irresponsible. Except it's all documented. There was a painter who got into street fights regularly, carried weapons illegally, insulted powerful people to their faces, slept with sex workers, dodged the law across multiple cities, and eventually killed a man. While doing all that, he also changed Western art forever. His name was Caravaggio. And here's the part that makes this uncomfortable. The violence was not a phase. The chaos was not separate from the work. The danger wasn't background noise. It was the engine. Caravaggio didn't paint angels as distant, glowing ideals. He painted them as exhausted, dirty, scared humans who looked like they had just survived something awful. He dragged divinity down into the street and then got chased through those same streets by the law. This isn't a redemption story. It's not a troubled genius cliché. It's a story about what happens when raw talent and zero self-control exist in the same body, and no one knows how to stop it. Caravaggio was born Michelangelo Merisi in 1571 in northern Italy. His childhood was shaped by instability, disease, and death. The plague killed members of his family. Violence wasn't theoretical, it was ambient. As a young man, he moved to Rome, which at the time was both a religious capital and a barely controlled chaos machine. Power came from patronage, not merit. Reputation mattered more than morality, and public violence was disturbingly normal. Caravaggio entered this world as an outsider with extraordinary skill and zero patience for hierarchy. He painted from life, not idealized forms, real people. Street boys, workers, sex workers, criminals. He used them as saints, apostles, and biblical figures. Socially, he was radioactive. He was known for carrying swords illegally, for brawling, for insulting rivals, for threatening people in taverns. Court records follow him like a shadow. Assault charges, weapon charges, defamation suits. And then, in 1606, he killed a man, likely during a violent dispute that escalated beyond control. After that, he became a fugitive, moving from city to city, painting masterpieces while hiding from execution. To understand Caravaggio, you need to understand his environment. Late Renaissance Italy was not polite, orderly, or safe. Rome in particular was a city where religion, money, power, and violence overlapped constantly. Think of it like a theoretical mafia state with great architecture. The church wanted art, but art that controlled people emotionally. Clear messages, strong contrasts, fear and salvation in the same frame. This was the Counter-Reformation. Visual persuasion mattered. At the same time, violence was normalized. Men carried weapons, honor disputes turned deadly, courts were corrupt and slow. So when Caravaggio painted brutal realism, severed heads, dirty feet, terrified faces, he wasn't rebelling against peace. He was reflecting his environment. He was reflecting his environment too honestly. The problem wasn't that he didn't fit the system, it was that he fit it too well, without restraint. The thing Caravaggio did was drag holiness into reality, violently. He rejected idealization. He refused to beautify virtue. He painted biblical stories like crime scenes lit by a single brutal light source. Simple explanation: Caravaggio used extreme contrast, light versus darkness, and real human models to make sacred stories feel immediate and uncomfortable. Modern analogy? Imagine a prestige crime series filmed with no filters, no glam, no moral narration, just consequences. What he thought? If I show truth as it really looks, people will feel faith more deeply. What actually happened? People felt exposed, threatened, offended, and addicted. His obsession wasn't innovation for novelty. It was confrontation. He wanted viewers to stand inside the moment, not admire it from a distance. Pause, because this part is genuinely insane. Caravaggio didn't just paint violent scenes, he lived inside them. He painted severed heads using his own face as the model. He painted executions while being hunted by the law. He painted redemption while refusing to behave in any redeemable way. This wasn't performance. This wasn't branding. This was someone who couldn't separate life from work because chaos was his default state. At a certain point, you stop asking, why was he like this? And you start asking, why did anyone let this continue? Caravaggio's story is interesting because it refuses moral comfort. There is no clean arc, no lesson neatly learned, no moment where he becomes stable or wise. His talent doesn't save him. His violence doesn't teach him restraint. He keeps escalating. Even while on the run, even while begging for a papal pardon, he continues to get into trouble. He attacks guards, he insults patrons, he self-sabotages constantly. This story reveals something unsettling about human psychology. Sometimes, people don't destroy themselves despite success. They do it because success removes consequences long enough to accelerate collapse. You have seen this pattern before. The artist who confuses intensity with authenticity. The creator who believes chaos is necessary for truth. The person whose talent shields them from accountability, until it doesn't. Caravaggio is an early example of a personality type we still don't know how to handle. Someone whose output is extraordinary, but whose behavior destabilizes every system they enter. Someone whose output is extraordinary, but whose behavior destabilizes every system they enter. We still argue about whether separating the work from the person is possible. Caravaggio forces the question, because the work is the person. What stays with me about Caravaggio isn't the violence, it's the refusal to soften. Even when he was hunted, even when he needed forgiveness to survive, even when he knew his life depended on restraint. He didn't pivot, he didn't rebrand, he didn't become safer, and that raises an uncomfortable thought. What if some people can only create honestly while self-destructing? That doesn't make it noble, but it makes it real. This story messes with the idea that talent naturally leads to wisdom. It challenges the belief that suffering produces insight. It questions whether intensity should be admired at all. Caravaggio leaves you with a disturbing possibility that brilliance and self-control are not linked, and that we keep pretending they are because the alternative scares us. Caravaggio didn't live long enough to be redeemed. He didn't grow old enough to be softened. He burned through his talent at full speed and left us arguing whether the fire was worth it. You didn't expect to think about that, but now you will.